Hi there, I'm Joe Connolly of WABC News to introduce you to a business owner, philanthropist, and also now an author whose products' names are known all over the world. This is Bob Unanue, President and CEO of Goya Foods. Bob's book is titled Blessed: Donald Trump and the Spiritual War, How the Battle for the Soul of This Country Began with One Word. Bob, you say that this book grew out of one amazing day, an incredible opportunity that you had when you had your own White House Rose Garden moment. Tell us how this project began.
Well, Joe, thank you very much for having me. And, WABC has just done an incredible job. Congratulations on your ratings. With great people like you, this station is going to continue to rise and be successful.
Thank you.
I happened to be at the Rose Garden on July 9th, 2020. It was I would say my day that lives in infamy, but we were in the middle of COVID. The world was shut down. We at Goya Foods were operating because Goya is a food company, is an essential business according to the experts or the government. But, work is essential. And we were working, and there was people were hoarding. They were going into bunkers. Everyone was afraid. It says in the Bible 365 times, be not afraid. But we were in our bunkers, not Goya. We were working hard. And I saw that this country needed food. The food banks were empty. The grocery stores were empty. People were hoarding toilet paper, from toilet paper to beans, I guess. And so I wanted to offer the country at this moment a gift of food. And I wanted to do it through the chief executive, who was Donald Trump. And we invited him to Texas. He couldn't come to Texas, so we're invited to the White House. And also, I'm invited to be a commissioner on the White House Commission for Hispanic Prosperity. Funny enough, since then, we were fired by the Biden administration. They cut out this Hispanic Prosperity Commission. Apparently, they don't like Hispanics or prosperity for Hispanics, I guess. But anyway, I'm in the Rose Garden as a commissioner. The president is there to announce this, and they gave me the microphone. And as any good business person, I grabbed it, and I wanted to tell the president and the country how blessed we were as a nation, and to have our leadership, the president. We were blessed by the president, who's a builder, like my grandfather was, who came to this country to build, to love. And I had been with the Obamas previously on a My Plate initiative about putting the nutritional pyramid into a plate, portion control, with Michelle Obama, with Barack Obama. But here I am, and I saying my praise about them, and that was acceptable. But, we live in a world with a double standard. You cannot say a word that was put on my lips. I'm there speaking, and I stop myself, and I say, at the same time, we're blessed to have a president and a leader like Donald Trump, who's a builder.
It just came out. It just came out of your lips,
from the Holy Spirit. It just
didn't plan it. You didn't plan it.
Not planned.
Wow.
You make plans and God laughs. So next thing you know, I'm $100 million in earned media. I'm on television programs. People call for our boycott. AOC, Julian Castro, Lin-Manuel Miranda. A lot of the elites call for our, not just the boycott of our company, but the destruction of thousands of lives that work for Goya. But an amazing thing happened, since at that moment, I believe the Holy Spirit placed their hand on Donald Trump, on Goya Foods, on myself, and an amazing boycott was formed. People went out and started buying our products. They said, hey, first of all, there was no food, and we're there to give away food, and we were just there to give a gift, and that backfired on the people who wanted to destroy us. The cancel culture emerged, hatred emerged, and the spiritual war was struck at that moment, I believe. The Cuban poet Jose Marti said, "There's those born to love and build, others to hate and destroy." There's just too much hatred and destruction. We need to love and build. And so from that moment, I was thrown into this war and given a platform. And I've been speaking since. I had no plans of writing a book, but when God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate. I met some amazing people along the line way, Dr. Ben Carson, John Catsimatidis, of course, President Trump, and many, many amazing people. And given a platform, I'm still talking today. We're talking here about this book. And the reason is God himself has injected himself into this, our world. It's funny, I heard, I don't know who said it, but God created the world, created humanity, but humanity has created every way to destroy itself. And that's what we're on the verge of, with the World War III, with all the wars, with our hatred. Back in the day, Hitler had the population hating the Jews, and today we're still spewing that hatred, and it's despicable. And we have the power as humanity to destroy, but we also have the power to love, and that is the only thing that's going to fix this world, and in this spiritual war that we're in.
So do you make specific recommendations in the book, Bob?
Actually, there's a few predictions. There was a prediction back in the 80s by this gentleman, the Hermit of Loreto. And Loreto is where the house of the Virgin Mary, where the Annunciation was made, and Incarnation, that Donald Trump would lead this country closer to God. It's as maybe outrageous as it might sound, it's not. We have a man who, the prediction came true. He did become president, but the idea is that we move closer to God. I met this gentleman, Gary Heaven, who owned Curves. He does a lot of charity in Haiti. And I asked him what was happening, what he thought would happen on January 6th, famous January 6th. He said, no, Trump is not going to prevail. God spoke to me. I said, well, what did he say? He said, the U.S. is not ready yet. We have to suffer more. And that was 4 years ago. And we've suffered. We've suffered with our economy. We've suffered with the biggest industries, and this is something that this book led me to also, with The Sound of Freedom, learning about the exploitation and trafficking of children and people. The United States is the largest consumer of trafficked people. And the Latino population, which we're the second largest Latino country in the world, is the largest group exploited. Women make up 70% of the exploited, and children 25%. So what's happened over these years is that when we had very little of this, it's ballooned to the biggest industries in the world, hundreds of billions of dollars in child trafficking, human trafficking, and drugs. Last year, Tara Lee Rodas testified that the U.S. was a middleman in bringing children into this country. This is the office. She was a whistleblower for the Office of Refugee Relocation. And under HHS, Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra. She said 85,000 children were missing, but they weren't missing. They were brought into this country to be sold and exploited, sold to sponsors, dropping 40 kids at one address.
This is a large new issue of yours, which has grown out of that moment in the White House when words came to your mouth.
Exactly.
This is new. How do you square these two worlds that you must live in mentally with the criticism of you and then the bounce back and the feedback and now all these other new issues? How many different directions must be in your mind, Bob?
Well, you know, when you're called, and I had no intention of doing this. You make plans and God laughs. I mean, I was given a platform that is just incredible. And I got involved in the Sound of Freedom, which is about trafficking, becoming aware of this. God wanted me to talk about Donald Trump as a Latino businessman and a Latino also, to be given a platform, I guess the credibility to speak about this, learning about human trafficking. And by the way, this year, after last year's testimony of 85,000 children, this year, the Inspector General of HHS has said that there are 320,000 children missing. And again, they're not missing, they're sold. So, you know, I'm more of an expert on canning beans and Latino products, not on human trafficking. My dad, who died 48 years ago, told us kids, you know, asked us, what's our goal in life? And my sister, for example, said, I want to be a nurse. And she became a nurse. He said, no, your goal in life is salvation. So I've always kept that, even though as a business person, as a American, you know, as our goal in life goes beyond our job, it goes beyond who we are every day. And we need a purpose to get up every day. This thing that's happened during COVID, which these last 4 years, pretty much still people are having COVID. You know, what's happened is our spirit has been decimated. The government is handing out so much stuff. I think it's a root cause of a lot of, you know, what's happening. I've worked 48 years full time. I don't know what my Social Security check is. I don't really need it right now, but maybe it's a couple thousand. The average Social Security check is $1,200, but someone coming into this country that has not worked a moment in this country, and there's fine people coming in, but there's also criminals coming in. The average, they get over $3,800 a month of benefits for doing nothing. And we have to work more than half a day so that other people don't have to work or don't have to pay taxes.
What's the solution? Do you see people are so divided? Do you see a solution, or is there more division ahead?
Well, you know, as I'm also part Irish, but as a Latino, I'm grabbing the Latino ID. I'm identifying as a Latino because we're not as vilified as I guess an Irish man or whatever. You know, we're being the solution in this is, and I see it in countries like Venezuela. I have a daughter-in-law from Venezuela, Cuba. I've lived everywhere. They didn't see the country being lost. Communism came in. It's moving away from God. It's a lack of identity. It's the few controlling the many. They don't care about us. The Latino is the most exploited victim of trafficking, and the woman, and they don't care about that. So the solution is we need to value each other. We need to value each other as gifts from God. and not as a letter, not as a flag, not as a furry. We put our value in things that are imperfect, and rather than in God. We need to value each other. And as one thing I started also was a thing that came out of all this, and the Sound of Freedom, was Goya Cares. It's about trafficking. It's about awareness and the mental health that has happened. So as far as mental health is concerned, a child, a young person, can see someone else being bullied, and the video we have is called Pause. Take a moment and say, stop. Don't bully that person. You matter. We love you. I love you. Leave that person alone. You stand up for someone and have the courage to do it. It takes a lot of courage. But imagine the power for our young to save a life. Like in the Sound of Freedom, you don't have to go into the jungles of Colombia or wherever to save a child, or even into our backyard. But as a young person, to have the ability to drop the selfie, to drop the cell phone, and say, and look at the other person, and unless we value each other, ourselves, and God, if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. And we've been hit hard in mental health, in the government in ways saying, don't get up, don't worry about getting up, we'll take care of you. No, we need purpose. And COVID has hurt us. This administration, quite honestly, has hurt us in saying, bringing all these people into this country and giving and not taking care of our own, and bringing in people to harm us, not caring. I mean, we are profiting. This gal said we're the middleman in human trafficking, the biggest industry in the world. Money and power, the two things. Like the genie said to Aladdin, never drink from the cup of money or power, you'll never be satisfied. We have to, the only thing that can solve this is to love our neighbor.
And it sounds like that has to come from parents, hopefully, but mainly the schools and the churches. They may be the two vehicles to bring us back together if they will take on that role. Is that part of the answer? Schools and churches?
Absolutely. And one of the things we're doing with Goya Cares, we're going in with these videos and programs to school assemblies, school classrooms, to raise awareness with the children, the teachers, the parents. And in these assemblies and classrooms, we'll have 8, 9 kids in a school or more come to the professionals there and say, hey, this is happening in my home. Abuse is happening in the home. It's happening where people are being trafficked for profit. And I've been to Central America. I've been to places where people sell their children. They sell their children for pennies on the dollar. They go to the cartels sell them to us, and then we sell them to sponsors.
Us meaning of the Americans who buy them.
Well, I think the United States government, because we have a halfway house. We have the Office of Refugee Resettlement. We use NGOs to house these people, as then they're given away. ORR, Office of Refugee Resettlement, they're just 320,000 kids missing. How did that happen? We're not following up on that? We have statistics on everything in this country, on baseball, on everything, but we can't keep track of a child. And it's not that we can't keep track of them, we don't want to. And it's not that we're encouraging these people coming in and children. We're bringing them in. And I believe we're profiting off of it. Javier Becerra said to his staff, we're not bringing children in fast enough. Henry Ford would be embarrassed by the lack of efficiency of this agency. So why would you want to bring people in faster? It's, as this whistleblower said, as a middle person, to profit off of our children. That's when life is a commodity. You know, in all these elections, abortion is a big issue. 39 weeks in the womb. But how about when they're born? When we're born, our life matters even less because we're being exploited, we're being sold for sex, body parts, slavery. Dr. Ben Carson is a friend. He said there's more slavery in the world today than in the history of the world.
Just a few other quick questions because our time is running. It's so interesting to listen to you. Is this a surprising turn to you in your life? Did you ever expect to be speaking and working on these issues?
Not at all. You know, like I said, when you have plans, God laughs. And I was handed this platform. I was made aware of all this that was happening. I've traveled. I've been in 2 weeks ago in El Salvador with President Bukele. You know, you see what's happening in Venezuela, where they're sending a lot of criminals, Tren de Aragua, MS-13. MS-13 is on Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, raping children under 14.
But you personally have felt the sting of the cancel culture. I mean, that must have been surprising in the first day or two that it hit. You must have been amazed at the response.
Yes, I didn't expect it, and at the same time, I wasn't fearful of it, you know, because when you're called, you cannot hesitate. And in the Bible, 365 times, it says, be not afraid. But this country, this world was trembling under COVID when, you know, we weren't trusting each other. We were, you know, masking. We were separated. But we kept working. One of my sons was not doing well. He was laying down, and a doctor friend of my other son said, tell him to get up and move. This was the lay down and die disease. So we kept moving, and you can't be afraid. If we go into our bunkers and we'll crawl up, you know, and die. And you have to have courage. And, you know, we almost lost the whole thing with this COVID. I think that COVID was intentional, but again, you need to have a purpose to get up every day, and we will prevail. I have hope, and it was predicted. The book says because it was predicted that Donald J. Trump would lead this country closer to God, that it will happen, that he will prevail. He will give us a strong border. He'll give us prosperity, safety, and security around the world. I mean, you look what's happening with these wars, the millions of people dying, and we hit the breadbasket of Ukraine, or Russia did, and because of our weakness of withdrawing from Afghanistan, they have the fertilizer tripled, you know, corn, wheat. The breadbasket from a lot of Europe and Africa caused a lot of this inflation, supply chain. Tomorrow is a deadline for, if I can mention a date, October 1st is a deadline for a strike at the piers. It'll be a big problem.
So how do you not get depressed? Just to wrap it up. I mean, I can see some of the ways, but
yeah.
Let's end up on whatever depressing advice you can give or observation.
You're right. You're 100% right. It sounds dire because these things are very serious. Yes. But my hope is, and in this election, the Latino vote is very important. The Latino community is very divided politically, but what unites us are the values: God, family, work, freedom. And my hope is that we will prevail, that the Hispanic, the Latino will, those values will prevail, not just in the Latino community, in all our communities, that Donald Trump will lead this country closer to God, will make America strong and bring us back in that direction. That's my hope. Because if if that doesn't happen, it is a dire situation. It's not a pretty situation. So we need to have a change in this evil that is the exploitation of millions of people, hundreds of thousands of children. And if we don't stop exploiting the Latino community and all communities, women, and 70% are women, people trafficked. And yet we have a woman running for office that presided over the border. That's evil. And, you know, that cannot prevail for 4 more years. If we lose, if that becomes the rule of the day where we can continue to exploit each other and stop hating each other, if we start loving each other, we will prevail.
That's a good word to end on. I'm so struck by your sincerity. I have to ask, did you ever consider becoming a priest when you were a boy?
You know, I was an altar boy as a Catholic. Yeah. I served in that way, and I went all through parochial schools. My second grade class, there were 71 kids. You know, we had slave labor at the time. The nuns worked for nothing. But, you know, now you need 3 teachers in the classroom with 20 kids. And I think it'd be good to get our voucher system back where parents can choose the education and we're not have garbage rammed down our throat, especially in the kids' throats, which is destroying our children. You know, and Randy Weingarten, head of the Teachers Union, for 2 years they shut down schools. You know, the children are our future, but they're our present. So I grew up in the Catholic community, church, my faith. Not always a big fan of our church. Some of the leaders have not acted very well. But our faith is our faith. And so, you know, I have friends who are priests who've been defrocked, Father Frank Pavone, you know, priest for life. That should be an oxymoron, priest for life. But no, and you know, you talk to 10 different priests, you get 10 different viewpoints. But our faith is our faith. So I grew up not necessarily wanting to be a priest. My father did, but he had 6 kids, and I have 6 kids. But I grew up just wanting to live my faith. But not until recently did I really become really immersed in the faith through this calling and this platform that was handed me.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. And Goya Foods provides millions of tons of food to charities sometimes. And thank you for what you're doing. Congratulations on all that you've done. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And the Goya family does it with a great heart and love for our country.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Thank you.